Yeah, got it.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Thank you all for joining us today. For some reason, the sound is not working on my song, but I was trying to play something here. But I guess, say la vie. It's nice for everybody to be here. We have some people just trickling in. We may have a low number of attendants today because there was an issue that went out with the invite where it says it's actually happening at 2, but it's happening at 1. Just for clarification for everybody, it happens at 1 p.m. the third Thursday of every month. So we can always plan for 1 p.m. Yeah, and we're just going to give a few minutes while everybody kind of shows up. There's few people that like to kind of show up just as everything is happening. So we'll let people get settled.
If anybody wants to throw their info on the chat just to say hi, just to kind of start introducing yourselves if you're new to the group. I'll start here.
Yes, thank you for that wonderful reminder, Drew. So again, I'll just start with a big welcome to all the returning members and everybody that's here for the first time. We're really excited to be able to facilitate the March Atlantic Canada Climate Network meeting. We're very excited to have everybody here. We're recording this meeting as well. So there will be a follow-up of the recording, the chat, as well as any pertinent information that comes out of the meeting to our members so that we can facilitate connections, right? I'm just going to give it another moment for people to continue to come in and get settled. I'm going to shut down all of these other excess programs on my laptop before it decides to die on me because it's definitely carrying a heavy load today. And I just want to acknowledge before we begin, very big gratitude goes out to the unceded traditional territory that we are connecting on today. That is the unceded traditional territory of the Mi'kmaq, the Wolastoqiyik, Passamaquoddy, Penobscot, and Abenaki nations, or the Wabanaki Confederacy. Now, this territory that we live, play, and learn on is amazing and is covered by treaties of peace and friendship, which these nations first signed with the British Crown in 1726. So these treaties did not deal with the surrender of lands and resources, but actually, in fact, established a rule for what was to be an ongoing relationship between nations. So it is in this great spirit of peace and friendship that I greet you all today. Very happy to be here. And of course, if you would take a moment while you're settling in, get comfortable and introduce yourself in the chat. You can drop your name, anywhere you're affiliated with, what you do, what brings you to the Atlantic Canada Climate Network. And of course, where are you? What province are you in? Where do you live and play yourself? We would love to hear it. And of course, as a reminder for anybody who is new to this meeting space, my name is Ashley Anthony. I'm the Atlantic Regional Engagement Coordinator for Climate Reality Project Canada. I am based in St. John, New Brunswick, although I'm coming at you from UNB's library today in Fredericton. And I would like to start this meeting by acknowledging our steering committee members, not all of which who could be here today, but all of which who definitely play a vital part to our network here. Of course, you see Drew. Drew is manning the chat. He is our Halifax hub captain. We have Shitang Roy from the Oath Project, who is also here and will be presenting for us today. Kelsey Wilson, who is the executive director of the Petitcodiac Watershed Alliance. Sarah Outram, who does program and admin for the PEI Coalition of Women in Government. Olivia Dymek, who is from the Climate Caucus. If you are an elected official or know many, you might know Olivia. Andrew McKenzie, who is an environmental health and safety professional, bringing a very important lens to what we do. And of course, Stephanie Arnold, who is a climate service specialist with Climate Atlantic and is also part of the UPEI Climate Lab. And if you have yet to talk to Stephanie, well, Don't worry. She will blow your mind off at a different meeting. I'm excited to have this wonderful steering committee. And again, lots of gratitude to go out to them for all of the work that they put in to making this happen. And of course, thank you to all of you participating to make this network more meaningful in Atlantic Canada, and to all those Atlantic Canadians who are working towards climate action. If anyone in this meeting is interested in being part of a steering committee or volunteering their time, please reach out to me. I will put my name, not your name. I'll put my name in the chat here for you, and you can reach out to me at any time. My LinkedIn will be here as well. Golden. And now our agenda today, let's get right into it. So we have a couple house meeting notes that we'll get to. We have our roundtable. So we're going to open up a Jamboard. I have a very great question prompt for you all. And this is an open opportunity for all of us to come forward and talk openly, build connections. After the roundtable, we're going to open up some chat rooms at the side, so breakout rooms if you want to continue this conversation. And at that point, Shitangshu is going to take over and talk about the Oath Project. And then, of course, we like to wrap up our meetings with highlights of events that are coming, or programs that you're working on, or anything that you'd like to share with the network. So this is another great opportunity for you to come forward with the initiatives, programs, and all the wonderful work that you're doing on climate adaptation, mitigation, and action here in Atlantic Canada. And then post meeting, we'll have a few minutes and we'll keep the room open for anybody that wants to continue the chat. Does that sound good to everybody? Awesome. So let's get into it. I will stop sharing my screen so that we can get into a little bit of these members docs that I wanted to kind of drop for you guys. So if you guys had been here since the beginning of the network, which launched late last year, the first few meetings were directed more at gaining a better understanding of where we can create space or take up space and create opportunity here in Atlantic Canada. And so we came up with a couple documents. One is a guidance document that I would just love to refresh for everybody. You can add comments to this document, and that really helps us build out an understanding for what's important to all of our members. Just a reminder that this network is like an egalitarian, transparent network. We're here to create relationships and to accelerate the climate action in the area. So I'm just going to drop a couple links here in the chat. The first one is to, of course, it doesn't want to fully drop the entire link, so I will redrop those again. Here we go. It should work this time. So the first one is a document where you guys can all look at, peruse, feel free to comment. The second one is a member's input. So it's really just a table. If you guys are in need of something that you feel that the network could provide, please let us know, because we can only start working on stuff when it is identified. So if you feel that there is a gap in the way that you are conducting your work or talking to other people who are doing the same work in your space, let us know so that we can create, we can start addressing those gaps and start creating more collaborative atmospheres. Awesome. And I wanted to, again, share those documents for transparency and allow members to have input on additional opportunities, gaps, or knowledges that you'd like the network to fill. This could be like pan-Atlantic meetings on specific topics, working groups, presenting webinars for our members. I know that not everybody has access to paying Zoom accounts. There's lots of grassroots organizations out there, and we want to facilitate opportunity for you to talk to a larger crowd. And anything else that you can really come up with. And I want to share one last thing that you probably received from today. And that was, if you've noticed, a new email. So this is a very exciting part. We are building capacity in the organization, and we officially have our own email. So you guys will not always just hear from me. It would allow access for our volunteers and everybody to participate in this growing network and allow us to build that type of capacity. So that is the new email officially for the Atlantic Canada Climate Network. So it's obviously Atlantic Canada Climate Network at climatereality.com or .ca rather. I just dropped that into the chat for everybody to look at. And yeah, so with that, that's all of the housekeeping notes that we have here. If anybody has any questions, I'm also working on an official mailing list. So our follow-up correspondence from this email will be our first official experience with a MailChimp mailing list. And at that point, you'll have the opportunity to subscribe or unsubscribe and change your email preferences as well. And now, without further ado, I'd like to reshare my screen again. I do have an awesome Jamboard that we're going to do together. Really great. Oh, somebody is off mute. I'm just going to mute them for a second. And this would be a great experience for us to look at the different programs, resources, and aspects that we're working on in our own individual ambitions and create or help create a repository of resources or a highlight of opportunities. So the idea is that Climb Atlantic is building a base of different resources. And of course, we want to reduce the duplication of other similar projects and encourage that we support Climb Atlantic in their work that they're doing. So I would love to give everybody this link. I'll drop the link in the chat and we can start participating. If you would like to go on to this Jamboard yourself, you are more than welcome to. Anybody with the link can be an editor, just making sure. If you would like to drop a link in the chat or unmute, this is an all open space, so there's no holds bar. Just feel free to contribute however you feel comfortable contributing. So if you want to unmute, I can write some stuff down for you. Or if you'd like to, again, use that chat link or the chat itself and drop some resources, projects, or programs that you feel are important to share. This could be work that, or this could be stuff that's impacting your work, stuff that you're working on, or just things that are coming down the line that you feel that could create greater opportunity for those in the space. So I'll do one here. So one I would love to introduce anybody to is called Green Economy New Brunswick. It's a nonprofit hub that creates GHG inventories and action plans. There we go. Anybody else have any resources that they would like to bring forward or share? And all of these resources are going to be synthesized and then brought forward to the rest of the members in our follow-up email.
Ashley? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
That's okay, Drew, you go first.
Oh, no, I'm just, I'm trying to create one, but I've used this before, but I can't remember where the start button is to create my sticky note.
You could just stick one, like if you want, you could just double click one of the sticky notes that are on there. You don't have to start your new sticky note and just type in.
Yeah, okay. Awesome.
Joanna, did you have something?
I did just stumble across thinking about the green economy here. It's called Green Resilience Project, and it's done within the Center for Local Prosperity. It seems like it's a lot of Nova Scotian projects and affiliated with the One Resilient Earth, which is a UK project. So it's looking at like a 25-mile footprint, kind of bringing economical and climate resources to hubs within the province.
That's brilliant. I love that. Thanks for sharing. Is there anything else that you wanted to share? Doug, is there anything else you wanted to share? We have Autumn here as well. And I know that Heather and Chandel, like, feel free to unmute yourself. John Cass. Yeah.
No, nothing to say now, except that I'm going to have to leave a bit early today at about half an hour.
That's
Sorry
okay.
about that.
No worries. No worries. That's the great thing about these membership meetings. They're for the members when they can attend, right? And if anything that you have you want to share, Doug, like we could give the floor to you so that you could share any messages before you head out.
Well, nothing to share yet. I'm here really just to get a better understanding of what you guys are all about, I guess. And so I'll just sit back and listen for a while anyway.
That's gold. No worries, no worries. And there's never any pressure to participate. Remember, everybody, like it's supposed to be a membership that's meaningful for you. So however you want to participate, whether you want to be a fly on the wall or you want to come and share events that you're doing or lead conversations, that's perfectly fine. And that's what we're looking for. So, feel free to show up however you feel comfortable showing up.
Well, I mean, I guess maybe one thing I should mention before I have to leave anyway is that so I and Heather are with Decolonial Solidarity in Moncton, and there's going to be a day of action all across the country on April 1st, which will be I don't know if Heather has already described to the group what Decolonial Solidarity is all about. It's basically to try and get RBC, which is the largest bank in Canada and the highest funder of fossil fuels in Canada and 5th highest in the world. We're trying to get them to divest from funding fossil fuels. They claim to be, very interested in addressing the climate crisis, but they don't mention that they spend billions of dollars funding fossil fuels. So it's a bit of a contradiction there. And so we're trying to get them to stop funding fossil fuels. And in particular, one of the pipelines that they're funding is the Coastal GasLink pipeline on the west coast of BC, which is was basically an illegal pipeline because it's being pushed across Wet'suwet'en hereditary territory with no, well, it's unceded, and the Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs are totally against having this pipeline pushed through their property. So we're trying to get them to stop that also. So this day of action is just before the RBC annual meeting, and so if anybody is interested in participating, it'll be on April 1st well, actually April 1st. There'll be an action in Nova Scotia, in Halifax, as well as in Moncton.
Do you know where the actions will be held?
Yes, in Moncton, it'll be 719 Mountain Road at the RBC. And I'm not sure, maybe Heather, can you tell us where it'll be in Halifax?
Oh, she
Hi,
just
Deb.
did.
Thanks so much for that. I was just gonna, I did post a little sticky with as much information as I could get on there, but it doesn't have the deets. So April 1st, yes, there will be actions taking place as of right now in both Halifax and Montreal. The Halifax event, they are just finalizing the details on time and location, and that'll be posted up on the Lead Now action map soon. In Moncton, we do have the location and time solidified down to 719 Mountain Road at noon, as Doug indicated, and I can add that to the chat as well.
Oh, I
Thanks
got
so
it.
much.
Don't worry, we got that. Thanks, Heather. Thanks, Doug. We appreciate that. So again, that's if you guys are in the Maritimes, that's Moncton, 719 Mountain Road at noon, April 1st. And Halifax is being finalized, but you can check that on the Lead Now channels in the next few days to find out the particulars of that one. We will share that with our follow-up information email as well. If you didn't get a moment to write that down, it will come to you. That being said, if there's anything that anybody else wants to contribute at this point, like you're more than welcome to, we can continue this Jamboard next meeting when we have a larger crowd as well. So at this point, I am going to open up a couple breakout rooms. If anybody wants to continue any conversations on the side, you can negotiate through the chats and meet up in a jam or not a jam room, in a breakout room, and we can pass it over to Shitangshu. Shitangshu, I shall make you a co-host as well in case you want to share anything.
Yes, so sounds wonderful there, Ashley. So do you want me to do the presentation now, or are we doing the breakout rooms first?
The breakout rooms happen simultaneously. So if anybody has
Okay.
conversations that they're happening in the chat and they want to continue that conversation verbally
Gotcha.
in one of the side rooms, they can do that. But the floor is yours, my friend. You have the next
Okay.
10, 15 minutes to tell us all about what's happening with the Oath Project. We're excited to hear.
Sure. Okay, that sounds wonderful. Thanks everyone. Thanks Ashley. Thank you everyone. My name is Shitangshu. I'm actually currently in Peru. Interesting. I'm doing some work traveling, but I make my home in the unceded ancestral territories of the Mi'kmaq in Chipuktuk, which is the Great Harbor, also known as Halifax, Nova Scotia. I'm also a settler coming from Bangladesh, and so part of my experience and interest in climate change comes from really being in two countries, having two identities, both countries that are on the front lines of climate change. Bangladesh will be about 20% underwater in 2050. Canada, you see what's been happening both in Atlantic Canada with things like Hurricane Fiona. You look at forest fires elsewhere in the country, and that's kind of been the inspiration for, especially more in the last couple of years, trying to be like, let's do something. And I think in that spirit, I can share my screen, share a little bit about the Oath Project, and some of the other work that we're doing and do. And I'm kind of really here representing two hats. One is the Oath Project, and the other is the Earthland platform that we're co-building. And I'll share a little bit about each of them and go from there. So the Oath Project is a eco nonprofit that was started 2.5 years ago now. I started one act at a time to help the earth. It was started by a group of young people who in various ways kind of had an environmental awakening, if you want to call it that. Oftentimes because of various climate disasters they experienced. So for instance, you have a board member who in South Africa was experiencing droughts. So we had someone in BC experiencing forest fires, someone in Germany who was experiencing mudslides. And it was that kind of, there's just this sense of climate change becoming very real. And I know that's probably something that resonates with a few of you. And so we came together and we were like, we don't really know exactly what we want to do, but we want to inspire that thought that everyone's got to do something. We all have to pick up the paddle and try and paddle against this waterfall that we're heading towards in terms of some of these irreversible impacts of climate change that are coming. And also not just climate change, but other environmental disasters like the plastic pollution crisis that we've got. And so really the core of our why is, as individuals, we might not know where to start, but everyone has to be able to make a difference. And we want people to really join the movement to, do something when it comes to environmental action. And to that end, it's folks like you who really inspire me and our team to really do the work that we do. I'm going to highlight a couple of our key projects. I give a little bit of an update on, in particular, a couple, two projects that are for which we might need or welcome support and help. So one is, we do have an ongoing pickup campaign, which is actually a litter pickup campaign. It's actually kind of where we started. a pledge to pick up at least one piece of litter a day. And when you do that, you slowly find that, you end up picking up a lot more and you see trash everywhere. But that's kind of the original oath campaign that's now being done by quite a few people, which is really exciting. And I love this quote as well, and this is something that drives us, the idea that small acts multiplied by millions of people can really change the world. And, it might seem like, there's not, it's hard to know what to do, but, when we all do something, it really can make a difference. We also have a podcast series that we've had and some incredible guests. I believe we've got, for instance, Angela Riley, who's a local Nova Scotia resident, creates art from plastic that she collects from beach cleanups. We had Drew on our podcast talk about the Halifax Climate Hub and all the great work there. We had folks from Halifax talking about, just the Halifax plan and how that came to be, and others too. And our organization does work internationally as well. And so we've got some people all over the world who all are in many ways doing really cool things. This particular project is on pause, but I do encourage you, and maybe what I'll do is at the end, I'll just put up a series of links both in the sticky notes and also in the Zoom in case people want to check some stuff out. And also please ask the person questions. And now to our two kind of major projects. So one is we are co-building with an Oregon BC, the EarthNet platform. And the EarthNet platform is a platform of climate and social action. So it's a place where people involved in climate action can kind of share their works. You think of it like at its core, it's a directory of the people, projects, organizations, resources involved in climate action. And then also alongside that, it's a place where we want people to take those connections, collaborate, and amplify their impact. And so, for example, I'll show this kind of a little bit of the internal platform. It's a free platform to join, by the way. We do encourage people to create an account and just check it out. It's been exciting to see the growth of the platform. We only launched in January 2022 publicly, but then since our launch, we've had, I think we just reached 1.5K, which is exciting. It was 14 something a couple of days ago. So I'm actually very excited about that. So 1.5K people. And so it's a growing platform, lots of people, especially in Canada, but, and there's been in particular a large BC presence and a large Atlantic Canadian presence based on kind of where our core teams are. I also want to, there's also a place where you can share different projects, organizations as well. And one thing I want to highlight and encourage people to particularly join is there is Atlantic Canada, the ACCN has a group here that folks are welcome to check out. I was wondering about a 1 to 2 p.m., 1 o'clock or 2 p.m. Kind of issue there. And then it was from this correction. I was like, okay, great. It is 1 p.m. So, it's a place where news will be shared and stuff. So encourage people to join there.
Thanks, you're breaking up a little bit there, my friend.
Okay, I'm going to try my video and maybe that'll help. I know I am sometimes, it's the thing about working like in a place like Peru is, it's really fun in many ways, but also it turns out not always the smoothest. Am I better now, Drew? And what did you miss, if anything?
There wasn't really a miss of anything. It was just a little bit of fragmentation, but you are better now.
Okay, sounds good.
The bittersweetness of your international travels.
Yes, the bittersweetness of my international travels for sure. And to be fair, when I'm in Halifax, it's not like my internet is that much better. But it is. So I encourage people to check out earthnet.org. There's also events and resources. Something we're putting particular focus on is our resource library and making it a little bit a place where, and you can see like people are posting a whole bunch of different things. It could be movies, it can be toolkits that people have, a really cool resource. And the idea being that, there's been a lot of great climate action that's happened. That's an important foundation for the work we do in the future, and we want to capture that, and ultimately we want to catalyze future action as well. So I can share some of these links and encourage people to check it out. I'll also at the end, if people have some questions, would love to engage in that. Also, something that's exciting is our other kind of big project is we host something called the Climate Change Makers Challenge. We've been doing that for the last 2 years, and we're going to be doing our next one April for Earth Month and April 28 to 30. Our last challenge reached 260 plus youth across 30 plus countries across the world. Every continent except Antarctica, no penguins yet, but we're working on that, I guess. But it was kind of cool to see that reach globally and that kind of thing. And something that's like for us that's really key is beyond even it's kind of like seeing what has come out of doing programs like that, where we had basically it's these young people especially ages 50 to 30 is our focus, but we occasionally have people a bit older. Our very first hackathon was won by a team of Florida 12-year-olds, actually 11-year-olds, and so there's sometimes even younger people join as well. And what's kind of cool is when you see people like Regenerate here. There were a group of teens and young, like early 20 folks in Pakistan, in Karachi, who had experienced the catastrophic flooding that happened in Pakistan, where a third of the country went underwater. And they took that experience and developed, identified that, talking about the importance of decolonial practices, that a part of core challenge of what happened in Pakistan was that when the British came in, completely wrecked traditional irrigation systems, and they created these these Western style irrigation systems that did not consider the natural geographies. And essentially that meant that there wasn't natural drainage systems, or they built up over natural drainage systems. And so what this team did was they proposed a nature-based solution. How do we restore some of the natural drainage systems that were lost during colonial times? And so folks like that, folks like doing just all these different projects. Some of them are more apps, some of them are more farming techniques, and it's just a whole range of different things, doing cool things to engage in climate action. Another great one, favorite for me, was I Feel Climate Grief, and it was a group of young people who want to create a space where people can talk about climate grief. And so this is something that we've been really excited by. We're having our next one Earth Month, April 28 to 30. I'm happy to potentially maybe share this around as well. And we're very excited for it. It's going to also be fall right after the exam period. And yeah, it's been cool to see how some of that work has engaged throughout. At the same time, I'm going to say, we do need a lot of help as well. Funding's always a challenge. We were excited at the Oath Project to have received the Canada SDG Youth Award in 2023 for climate and environmental action. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes the outward facing side of the organization is things are really great, but then internally there's also funding's always a challenge. We're trying to, so I would love to engage with people who might have ideas on how we can get more consistent funding streams in the future. We're also with programs like this, we're always looking for partners to just get the word. We look for mentors, judges for a hackathon. So if people want to maybe support in that way, that'd be great. So if you have networks of youth, we'd love your help to cross promote this. If you are someone who might be interested in sharing your expertise to the next generation of climate change makers, we would love you to share that. If you have advice for us in terms of projects like that we're doing, or even things particularly even that funding side, we would love to connect as well. So those are kind of my 3 asks for you. Or maybe our 4th one is check out EarthNet. Feel free to give feedback as well. It's very much an evolving platform. It's not 100%. We're building it out. It's been cool to see its growth. It's been cool to see get more and more networks involved. At the same time, it is something that's constantly building, and Drew was there from the beginning. He saw the initial version and it's evolving. But at the same time, there's a lot of work to do, my friends. So that's a little bit of what we're doing, and what inspires us really is folks like you who are doing so much cool stuff, and that's what really drives us to keep doing what we do. So thank you all for what you do, and yeah, if you have any questions, please do let me know. I'll definitely share some links so that people can follow up later if they're interested.
Yes, please, any questions, feel free to unmic yourself or drop them in the chat. Shitangshu is a wealth of knowledge and inspiration, and definitely would be able to answer those questions. We'll also share his information in the follow-up email if you're looking to get a hold of him, and all of those wonderful links that he shared, which I'm very excited about, I have to say. It's very enthusiastic, Shitangshu, to see your growth over the last year and a half kind of showcases to the rest of us that, where there's a will, there's a way. That's for sure. Especially if you're 11. Did anybody else be flabbergasted about that? 11 years old. That's incredible.
Yeah, it was so cool to work with that group of young folks there. And it was just like, it was that reminder. I think what was interesting too, like their experience was also, they were seeing what was happening in Florida with climate change, right? And so it's just like, there's a sense of what's also inspiring a lot of young people is we're living it, right? And we're all living it right now. We're all living it in a very real way. Like even like 10 years ago, it wasn't so real. And now I think for that team it was, and it's interesting when we go through various changes, and when you go through climate change, how do we react? And I think it's always inspiring when we see people young and old like reacting and positively, like, okay, we got to do something to make a change, whether it's protesting against people who are funding oil companies, as we 100% need to do, and there's so much greenwashing that happens in that space, or it's taking your experience of climate change as a Florida young person and saying, we're going to create an app to inspire others to be involved in environmental action. So yeah, thanks, Ashley.
I have a question for you, Shitangshu. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I have 3 young kids, and I just realized that I'm kind of out of touch with all of the things that are going on with the young people today. And I'm wondering, Shitangshu, if you have any hurdles or barriers that you've faced when interacting or engaging youth, and how you've overcome those barriers. Maybe a lesson?
Yeah, for sure. I think, one thing is there's people there to support you. And sometimes finding the network of folks who are, there's a lot of supports out there, but even finding who they are is a challenge. So another project I didn't actually talk to folks about is we are currently, the Oath Project is taking lead on identifying youth serving climate organizations, and essentially saying, hey, youth serving climate organizations, we need to talk with each other and work with each other, right? Because there's people like our hackathon. Okay, you start a project in a hackathon, but where does it go from there? Maybe the Youth Impact Challenge. And so I'm also program director of the Youth Impact Challenge, which is this organization that helps young people ages 15 to 25 develop environmental social impact projects. They're more for, you have an idea, but you're still early, right? And then you've got people who are like for that next stage, right? And then you've got people like Youth Harbor who are going to fund you when you're a little bit more established. And then you've got other support systems. I think in Canada, there are a lot of support systems, but finding out who they are is really maybe where sometimes the challenge lies. I feel a lot of gratitude for people like Ocean Bridge, people like you folks, who've helped advise in the journey. Ocean Bridge was the program which the Oath Project first started out of, and it was again, it's just a place to encourage people to be environmental and ocean stewards. And there are programs out there, so I think maybe that's a good place to start. Ashley is finding out what those programs are, because there is definitely a lot of supports in what we now call Canada, but there's it's just sometimes navigating the ecosystem of supports where the challenge lies. But we are very fortunate here. And I will say there's something too, which as we worked internationally, not all young people across the world have the same supports that we do here. So, taking advantage of what these things that we have here, and the privilege that we have here living in Canada and using that privilege and those resources for good is key. So I think I would say, yeah, there's a lot of great resources out there. It's just connecting with the right people. Gaia Project in New Brunswick might be a great one. I know you're super connected with them, Ashley.
Speaking of, Laura here is very connected to the Gaia Project.
Yay,
and
okay.
I knew that when I asked that question that her hand was going to go up.
Yay.
Yeah, my hand's up for a couple of things, but you keep going, Shitangshu, so I don't want to interrupt you. Shitangshu and I actually met at Ecom, and we tried to get a conversation, and then it was, I'm so happy to hear you talk today. Sorry I was late. I was actually, the Hampton High School Climate Action Team had a meeting at 1 o'clock, and they invited me to come and speak to them. And I had a presentation at school this morning about the Sustainable Development Goals. That's why I'm late. But did you have anything else to say about what Ashley asked you about?
No, learning for sustainable futures. When I was 22, I was involved in I was like a youth programmer for like an after school program, and they, as LSF came in with a grant for us, that where we engaged our young people to create this beautiful art mural project, and it was just this collective, like, yeah, a group of 5 to 12-year-olds just coming in and being like, co-creating a vision for what it is. There was Pinko the Pine Tree giving a message of environment all in art form. And so like LSF is a great resource, NBN is a great resource, Gaia Project is a great resource. Get Outside New Brunswick, and there's a lot of support out there. Yeah, and Laura, you're actually there. You tell you know more about research than I do. So you go. It's your turn now.
Well, actually, okay. Well, a couple of things. I did a present that. So this in New Brunswick, there's a civic people. Everyone on this call is from the Maritimes, I think. Is that right? Yeah, from the Atlantic provinces. So New Brunswick is piloting a new course called Civics 10, and in that course, the students do an action project related to the Sustainable Development Goals. So LSF is having a youth forum for the pilot project this semester, and they have guest speakers from Green Learning. This morning they had Elder George Paul on as a speaker. He was the one that wrote the honor song, and he performed it for the students and talked to them about belonging. They've got Green Learning coming in. They've got it's really amazing. But one thing I want to let you guys know, and I'm going to put this in the chat, is that LSF did a climate change education survey this past year. This is their second one. Thousands of respondents, students and teachers, and they're released the results a few weeks ago, but they're having an Atlantic Canada knowledge mobilization session. I just put the link in the chat for people that might be interested. You can register to join it. And what they do is they're gonna go through all the results of their climate change education survey, which were quite amazing. Like only 55% of people that responded thought that climate change was caused by burning fossil fuels, for example. 95% of the students that were interviewed that answered the survey said that they thought climate change should be taught across the curriculum, but only 24% of teachers have ever talked about it. So like there's a lot of really, really interesting information in that survey results. But at the end, after they present the survey results, there are breakout rooms. So NGOs would go to one room, government officials to another, students to one, educators to another. And after seeing the results, people are going to share what they think. And as Shitang, so I think you'll think this is interesting. The last I attended the Ontario one, because there were so many people. There were like 100 people that attended, and they had like 10 breakout rooms. So I was attached to the NGO breakout room, and the number one priority for the NGOs were to work together for a common goal and to pool resources. Very similar to what you're talking about with EarthNet, is that people, there are so many people out there doing similar things, and we need to communicate more. That really made me think of EarthNet when they talked about that, because that's exactly what we need. Is we need that kind of, working together for common goals. And they also talked about, people going for funding. They're often applying for the same pile of money where they could be maybe working together to share resources. So I'm hoping that people will attend that mobilization session, because we really need, and what they're going to do afterward, if you attend, you get the PowerPoint, obviously, but you also get the results of all the breakout groups. And this one is specifically for Atlantic Canada. So they're going to talk about the results of the survey, but also specifically Atlantic Canada results. So, and yes, I can't Gaia Project. There's nobody from Climate Reality Project signed up to go to that mobilization session yet, Ashley.
I have it pulled up here. Yeah, I'll sign up for it without a
I'm going to
doubt.
be there, but I'm also running one of the breakout rooms. So
of course you are. No, I'll definitely be there. I think it's very interesting that, as NGOs, like all of us see the gap in collaborative delivery. Yeah. But like there is only limited traction on the people that are trying to actually advocate for closing that gap. The work that Shitangshu and Cheryl previously has been doing with EarthNet is really the catalyst of what created the Atlantic Canada Climate Network. And it's the entire goal of what we're trying to do here. So when I hear you and Shitangshu and everybody else kind of resonate those same things, and not even from this group, but from actors outside of this group, it really just goes to amplify the work that we're doing is essential and needed, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I gave a climate change talk to a class last week I talked about the sustainable development goals, and this boy says to me, you know, I said, if you look at all of these sustainable development, they can all be linked back to climate change. They're all interrelated. And this boy said to me, well, how is gender equality related to climate action? And I'm like, well, so then I just started, I wasn't on a rant necessarily, but I did talk for a few minutes. And when I was done, I said, do you see the link now? And he said, yes. So I would like
That's
us,
important.
yeah, like the sustainable development goals. I really think if people can't see the importance of climate action, they see the importance of other things on that list. And if we can help them see the interconnectedness, then they have to care about climate action.
Ironically, I'm at UNB right now with Autumn, who is on this call, and we're talking to the faculty about SDGs and incorporating them into the curriculum. And the
I gave a presentation to that group on Monday. Autumn, there she is. Yeah, we're preaching to the choir. You know, Dave Gunning has a song called the chorus goes, I'm preaching to the choir to sing it louder, because he says, I always feel like I'm out there preaching to the choir, preaching to the choir. He said, now what I'm saying is I'm preaching to the choir to sing it louder. So that choir has got to sing it louder, and we're the choir, and it's time for us to,
100%.
yeah, we need to drown out those, you know, those voices.
I
that
say
we
this all the
hear.
time, especially the fact because we are the green choir, but like on these Pan-Atlantic stages, we're not loud enough. We
Mhm.
need to really become harmonious with each other and create one true voice, so that on that Pan-Atlantic stage, on that global stage, they see the actions and the solutions and all of the work that's happening in Atlantic Canada. And, you know, there's value in that. There's value in us being able to talk about the issues that we face, the hurdles that we face, especially because, and I love to frame it in this way, right? Like if you think about it, we have agricultural issues, we have forestry issues, we have coastal erosion issues, aquaculture, First Nation, Inuit issues, like, you know, so much of these, as you say, intersectional, interdisciplinary
Yes.
things. And Atlantic Canada is the perfect melting pool of solutions to be able to create capacity and scale these out across the country and globally. So
Yeah.
we have great positionality here,
Yeah.
which is, you know, influencing us to hopefully work together more meaningfully.
I'm actually, I was talking to a teacher at Harborview High School. They have a first year teacher there who took Grant Williams' course at STU. He has a course called Climate Change, implementing a school-wide climate action plan, I think is what his course is called. And that student took that course with him last year. She's at Harborview this year, and she's creating a school-wide climate action plan at that school. So when you implement SDGs into a classroom, it has its ripple effect. And, you know, there are good things happening.
There are.
Yeah.
There are. And speaking of good things happening, it's about that time where we segue into all of the good things that are happening in all of our worlds. So I do have a note here from people, and this is a great opportunity to disclaim this as well. If there are times where you are unable to meet the general meetings, you can send us a line and we will bring forward things that you want to share to the greater people, right? So don't ever hesitate. Just because you have a busy schedule, that doesn't mean that you can't participate. And so with that, there is a community energy and energy democracy event happening March 23rd. I am going to drop the link here. So it's Beyond Climate Promises website, and you'll see that they're looking to provoke energy democracy, which is something that's very influential out here. And I would love to give the floor to all the attendees here who would love to share their events. Feel free again to participate in any way that you want. You can unmute yourself or you can drop them in the chat. And then, yeah, we'll get on to what's happening in your world and anything that you guys would like to share. So if you have any upcoming events, feel free.
I'd like to hear about Joanna's post there, if you don't mind, Joanna. You're still there? Maybe not.
That's totally
You're talking
cool.
about the Halifax Food Hub? Yeah, I just clicked on that and there she is.
So they They had recently done a survey as well to see what kind of actions and need was happening in Nova Scotia for sustainable and local food sourcing. And so there is a survey results and stuff on the link that I posted. And there is the Halifax Food Action Plan celebration happening at the Central Library in Halifax on March 29th from 6 to 8 p.m. Event tickets on Eventbrite, and it's free, but it's also a great thing to see now that the food part of the Halifax programming is kind of coming into action. So that's it.
That's wonderful. Lots to celebrate there. I hope you have a great turnout. Yeah, I'll share those links again with anybody who's not here in our follow-up meeting or our follow-up email. Is there anybody else that would like to share an event or even a program or initiative that you're working on that you would like to talk about? Now's a great time.
I guess I jumped in early with my thing, sorry.
It's all good.
I can share for Green Schools Nova Scotia. I'm Chandel Brown, I'm the program manager. So this spring this year we're back visiting in schools again for the first time in a while. So that's been very exciting to get to interact with kids and see their smiling faces. This spring, we're really focusing on high schools and our Green Careers presentation that we have. So we do some hands-on activities with them, helping them to just kind of think through what their career interests are. And then we profile different careers throughout Atlantic Canada and specifically Nova Scotia that are options. So if you know of any, we do only work within Nova Scotia. So if you know of any high school teachers within Nova Scotia who'd be interested in getting their classes or getting us into their classes, let me know. And we do also have a podcast series. We call it the Futures Podcast. And we interview also green career professionals on there, as well as green heroes, we call them. So kids who have been nominated by their teacher for all the wonderful and sweet things that they're doing in their lives. So it's a very, very uplifting podcast, especially the kiddo episodes. So feel free to have a listen and share it around if you like it. Thank you.
Sandel, did you put the link to that in the chat there?
I didn't, but I will.
Please
Awesome.
do.
Yeah, that would be
Thank you.
great.
That
I'll
sounds
post that out on
amazing.
social media if that's okay with you.
Absolutely. That'd be great.
Cool.
Thank you.
Did anybody get the ecom? Did anybody attend ecom? The Educational Environment Conference. Okay, well, if you did, there was an email that sent out with a bunch of activities coming up in the next month or so. So if you don't belong to ecom, but you want to, that's
Laura, if you'd like to forward that to me, I can put that in the follow-up email, any of the pertinent public events.
okay, I will. Yeah, because there's some things you can just click on. I'll forward that to you right now, Ashley.
Wonderful. Yeah, and here's the last opportunity. If anybody wants to bring forth anything, like a small crowd, we have all of the opportunity to talk ad hoc here. That's a wonderful part when we don't have a large crowd, right? So anything you'd like to bring up, and just a reminder that our next meeting is going to be on April 20th at 1 p.m. 1 p.m. I will not make that mistake again. And we are actually going to have a presentation from the Climate Reality Project from our National Climate League. So we have Hannah Maharjareen coming in, and she is going to talk to us all about participatory democracy and how we can kind of create more livable cities, and a project that we do here at the Climate Reality Project. So we're excited to be able to have that. And if you would like to present about something that's happening, either something in your work that's happening, a project that's underway or an initiative, or even something that you feel that we're not talking about that you would like to bring forward, it doesn't have to be official. Reach out to us. We would love to accommodate. As you see, we have small presentations every meeting, and we would love for these to be serving to our members. So obviously, as our members, you are the people that we love to serve. If you have something that you'd love to bring forward, we would love to accommodate that. And I'm going to also bring up that invitation as I did earlier. If you are a grassroots organization and you don't have the opportunity to present webinars, you'd like to talk to large groups of people about the initiatives that you're working on, feel free to reach out to us. Again, we have a new email, Atlantic Canada Climate Network at climatereality.ca. Lots of letters in there, but I assure that you're going to get to somebody. And you can always reach out to me personally at aanthony@climatereality.ca. So we have a few more minutes here before we wrap up. A huge moment of gratitude goes out to all of you for showing up today to be part of this network and, for all of the work that you do. Now, there's really no agenda for these last couple of minutes, so we can continue this awesome talk about education if you'd like, because I feel like that's become really pertinent.
As a segue into education again, so I guess not a lot of people here went to EECOM, so I can talk a little bit about that. I presented just what we were doing at UNB Sustainability, and through my passion to educate not only students, but the wider New Brunswick area about the SDGs, we decided to create this platform where you can learn about sustainability related topics like climate change and economical sustainability, environmental sustainability, and all that jazz. We should be publishing these public facing platforms, I guess you could say, at the end of March. And if anyone would like to use those resources to not only just for themselves, but to pass along to each other within the workplace, please let me know and I can give you guys a link.
Yeah, for sure. Autumn, if you want to drop anything, remember, I'll share it with the larger group of people.
You're talking about the modules, right, Autumn? The sustainability modules. Yeah, LSF is very interested in those modules to see what you guys have there. So I'm looking forward to seeing those. Yep.
The pressure is on, my goodness.
No. Also, when I was at UNB on Monday, the experiential learning group from UNB announced that they have student internship positions offered this summer, like 21 jobs with NGOs. And then if when the student gets the job with a student internship, they will be taking these sustainability modules and get sustainability leadership modules. Anyway, so if you know students who are who might be looking for a summer job with an NGO with a focus on sustainability, let me know. If you guys can keep chatting, and then I'll try to find the link for the job.
So yeah, it's called like the Sustainability Plus internship. And so what students do is that they take our sustainability leadership certificate and they complete a series of modules. So that would include our sustainability modules, and also on top of that, some just leadership modules that they've created within the university as a whole. And then they get a certificate, but throughout their job experience, they also will be reflecting on what did they do, this week that incorporated the SDGs, like what did you do, and just reflecting on that type of aspect. Our office will also be providing a job this year for an intern, so it's super exciting. So excited to have an intern to try to help move other goals forward. And then as another side point of that is that they actually have about 60 jobs that are open for the Sustainability Plus intern, and they're still receiving more. So they're really excited, and I think it's going to be a great opportunity for students. I believe high school students are allowed, but do not quote me on that.
I think that can be. But the other thing is,
Yes.
there might be people on this call that are interested in hiring us a summer student, because they're still looking for for NGOs who would like to have a summer student. So I'm going to try to find that link. But if you want to hire a summer student, you could. Your NGO.
Well, that's exciting. Yeah, so hopefully if you need a summer student, Laura is going to have the information. If you don't get it now, Laura, feel free to forward it to me. And
You know what? I'm just going to copy Sandy McKay's email in the chat, because he's one of the coordinators. So you can reach out to him. They might not have the link ready yet, but he's the one that's helping to find jobs. Oh, wait, he just sent me the poster too.
Just a quick question for Heather with regards to the leadnow.ca. Can anybody just, I should know about this platform, but can anybody just post up upcoming events on there for distribution online for to kind of announce those projects or those dates of action?
That's a great question. So this one specifically, I believe, is in coordination, Lead Now, Decolonial Solidarity, Greenpeace, Rise.Earth, and others that I haven't mentioned, Giddenham Checkpoint, specifically for the event that's coming up called Fossil Fools Day, the day of action in solidarity with Wet'suwet'en, to speak out against RBC's crimes. Yeah. Thank
So
you.
was there anything for Atlantic Canada? Did I see Winnipeg, Thunder Bay, Montreal? Did I miss that? Was there anything going on in Atlantic Canada?
I think Ash can probably answer that better than myself.
I just went to go flip down my thing. I haven't heard of anything happening, but you know, we could organize. There's still 2 weeks, Drew. Like if you wanted to do something in Halifax, like we could put something together and connect with the organization to amplify the messaging out here.
I'll be honest, that's I won't have the capacity at this point, but we should talk about future potential events for sure.
Yeah, maybe something that we could work as collaboratively as a group is creating essentially a large advocacy calendar. So we could put together things that are happening that where we're going to need any type of like, you know, mobilization on and start kind of working progressively like towards these types of objectives, right?
Yeah.
That
Great.
being said, it's 1:58. I don't want to take up anybody's time if you aren't able to stay past 2. We do leave the channel open if anybody wants to continue conversation. We're not going to kick you out, but I do want to be respectful of everybody and again send some large amounts of gratitude and appreciation for those who were able to make it out today. Those who were not and are catching the recording, still lots of gratitude to you. If you would like us to amplify anything that's happening within your personal network, feel free to reach out to me at aanthony@climatereality.ca and we'll include anything that you want to share with the general membership. Remember the links that we shared at the top of the meeting, I will share them in the follow-up as well. So if you have any opportunities or gaps or initiatives that you'd like us to start or suggestions, never hesitate to reach out. This network is for you. So unless you vocalize what you need to get your work and progress your work and accelerate your work, there's only so much that we're going to be able to do. So let's work together. It's easier to work together to create a better impactful future for us all than to work siloed and sitting in our tiny dark rooms by ourselves. We don't want that.
Thanks,
Again,
everybody.
yes,
Thanks, everybody.
have a good one. Our next
Appreciate you
meeting
coming.
is
Thank
going
you.
to be April 20th,
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Okay, bye, everyone.
Bye.
Ashley,
Yes.
did you get the link from, I can't remember her name, SH something, oh shoot, I lost her name. All right, that's all right. She was gonna put the link in the chat, I think, but.
I remember her
Oh
name.
wait, I think she might have,
Yeah.
no.
It's okay. I have the transcript.
Okay.
So
So the recording, can you send that over to me and I'll post it up on the hub site? And we could put it on the ACCN EarthNet
yeah, of
page
course.
as well.
Yep. That sounds great.
Cool.
Now I'm just gonna hang out for a few minutes because there was a bunch of people who thought that the meeting was at 2.
Yeah, I'll stay on too. But Paul, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
I just wanted to get a little bit of details about anything you're involved with. I'm just making some notes on for the group here.
Okay. Now, is this the right time? Like, did you just start right now?
Unfortunately, the meeting was actually at 1 p.m. and there was a correction email that was sent out, but we're not in a rush and we have all the time and opportunity to sit and still host and talk with you.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow, that's great. Well, we are, we've sort of evolved over the last couple of years. Hi, Lauren. So we started off as a group called the Antigonish cohort or climate cohort. And that sort of morphed into what we call the Antigonish Climate Hub. So what we're trying to do, we've had a number of meetings with interested people, and we found that the traditional way that we were operating just wasn't working. And so the Marion came up with the idea that if we have a hub, we've got so many people that are interested in climate issues, but burnout is something that a lot of environmentalists find because we're so damn interested in trying to change the world, right? And so I know that sounds funny, but in a way, but it really is true. Like there's, we came up with the idea or the resolution that if we were, let's say we were really interested in, let's say electric vehicles, then one person would, commit to being the head of that particular component. Somebody else would be interested in climate change in another way, whether or not it was like with En-ROADS or something else, and they would take the lead, et cetera. So we have someone that's really, committed to equity, like in terms of housing and, various issues about poverty. So what we're doing is we're building on that so that we're trying to involve more people with taking a lead in whatever aspect of climate change they're interested in. So that's where we're at now. We've I would say that we've got a small, like we've got a cohort of Fridays for Future people here. We have been outside of town hall since October of 2021, every single Friday, come hell or high water. The high water actually did come anyway. But it's a combination of young people and older people as well. And so we have a lot of people driving by and honking. But yeah, anyway, we're trying to build awareness, right? And we just had Elizabeth May come and speak at Mulroney Hall last night to a really great crowd of people. And so with her memory, which is absolutely unbelievable, I know of no politician or no one else with a memory like her. He remembers dates and all the nuances of political life over the last 40 years. So a lot of young people got a real eye-opener with her last night, because she nailed it. Like for an hour and a half, she just she spoke to the audience with the truth, and I think it opened their eyes. Like we as Canadians, we're not anywhere near where we are supposed to be, where we committed to be, politically.
Paul, was there a recording of that last night by any chance?
That's a good question. I was asking myself that as I drove back this morning from another meeting. So I will find out. I'll email Elizabeth and see.
Okay.
If there is, that would be an incredible video.
Yeah, we'd love to get that up. We try to accumulate all this information into our platforms and our networks so that other people can partake and see and get inspired.
Well, it's interesting that you should say that, because that's exactly what we've been trying to do for 5 years or more here. And
Yeah, we noticed that too. That's yeah, everybody works in silos in this business. And so our job is to start to unite those initiatives so that people are feeling like they're not duplicating work, that things are done efficiently, and that they're getting the resources and support that they need, and have a central place to go where they can actually feel like they can connect with the whole community.
you know, I was the Atlantic Regional representative for the Council of Canadians a few years ago, and I said exactly that to them as at the board level, because exactly what you're just talking about is the Canadians' downfall. Like, we have, I don't know how many NGOs here in Canada working on the same stuff. What is that, 400 or 500 of us, organizations? Like, what's the matter with us? You know, we are a community of like-minded people, you know, who we're striving for the same goals and objectives.
It's
Yeah,
terrible to see the competitive nature against them as well. Like, we're
Yeah.
supposed to be doing this in an altruistic manner to create, as you say, like, we burn out because we have passion to create change. And when we have people that are competitive against creating change, it seems kind of counterproductive, right? And so
Yeah.
that's why this whole collaborative nature is better.
I don't know if it's so much that I think it's just a matter of time in on working on this particular problem, which is uniting the all the initiatives, the organizations, the individuals, and getting it organized. And that's starting to happen. I mean, Ashley and I are in this kind of space now, and we can start seeing people slowly coming together, building those connections. It just takes time, and the appropriate organizations. I mean, the technology is now here to be able to do that as well, which was not here even 5 years ago.
Oh, thank you, COVID.
Exactly.
It's terrible, but it helps us at least connect when, we're not able to get into the same physical space.
You know,
Yeah.
1 out of 10 people in Canada knew how to use Zoom in 2020 or whatever, but like 90% of us know how to use Zoom now. Like, and that, and you're right. It's sad that we had to learn that way, but we've learned it. I hope.
Now it's kind of creating a hybrid model where we can still facilitate in-person connections and create these like meaningful workshops or opportunities for people to actually, work together and not just pay lip service. And then these virtual connections for us to like touch base, but it can't just be in one or the other either. It has to definitely be dynamic and accessible and barrier free and transparent and egalitarian and all of these wonderful things that we're trying to essentially create and amplify.
And I just wanted to open up the floor for Jadul and Olivia and Lauren, just to kind of, I want to hear more about your initiatives and your projects on the go. And again, apologies for the miscommunication today. The meeting actually was at 1 o'clock, but we that was our fault. And
Doesn't matter how
so
many
when-
people can look at the same page. Sometimes things slip through the cracks.
Yeah. But we still want to kind of collect your information on your projects. This is all being recorded, so it's going to be posted up on our social media and all that. And we want to capture what you have to say, because all the members that are a part of the ACCN, we want to make sure their voice is heard. So can we start with Lauren, maybe?
Absolutely. So just giving an update, my name's Lauren Matheson, and I'm in the community outreach position with the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives in the Nova Scotia office. I think this is maybe my second time joining the meetings, so it's great to be here. The one update that I was kind of intending to plunk in the chat or just say for the meeting was just that our office, the Canadian Center for Policy Alternatives Nova Scotia, just released a new report. It was called the Nova Scotia Alternative Budget 2023, Leave No One Behind. And so we, excuse me, the office used to do these budgets on a relatively regular basis. But I believe at the last time we had this report, it was like a good couple of years ago. And the alternative budget itself is a collaborative report that brings together, excuse me, stakeholders from different sectors of the province, including frontline service organizations, nonprofit organizations, and academics with diverse experiences. And specifically, the budget looks to provide a set of fiscal policy measures in a workable budget document that looks at social, environmental, and economic realities. And this year's priorities were, there were 4, but dealing with healthcare crisis, addressing social economic inequalities, and then particularly transforming climate investment and investing in the next generation. And so I'm happy I can plunk in the
Please
information
do.
in the chat. Yeah. And I can plunk in the little blurb about the report as well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
with
And
your
if there's
permission,
any
I'd like
events
to-
happening, we'd love to hear
Yeah.
about those as well.
Pardon me?
Any events happening, we'd love to hear about those as well. So we can
So we
amplify them.
did the press conference for the report on Wednesday. Unfortunately, it was just yesterday, but there is a recording, so I can plunk that in as well. And then, but in terms of more events on this report, that was the main event. But that event specifically was a panel discussion. It was chaired by the Nova Scotia Federation of Labor, and then had speakers from our organization, Dr. Christine Saunier, as well as the Register and Director of the Nova Scotia College of Social Workers and the Chair of the Nova Scotia Health Coalition. So I can put that in as well.
Please do. It sounds
Yeah.
good.
Great.
I love
Oh,
me a
thank
good
you.
panel discussion.
That's it, eh? Wonderful.
Are you okay if we post those links up on online through our networks?
You mean like the report?
Yeah, and the recordings and that sort of thing. If not, then just let us know. But
I can't see a problem with it. We're sharing it. It's like open. It's an open access. It's on our website. So yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Olivia, do you want to just let us know
Yeah.
what's going on with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just introduce myself to a few folks on the line I haven't met yet. But I'm Olivia, she, her pronouns, and I'm a network manager at Climate Caucus. So Climate Caucus is a national nonpartisan network of now over 600 local elected leaders across the country. We also have an Atlantic chapter that I work with, and also over 1,000 allies. I don't have too many updates right now. Sorry about my lighting. It keeps going really dark on my screen here, but there is one event that's coming up that I'll share a link in the chat to. We recently started our school trustee chapter. So this is a chapter where we're going to be supporting and working with local electeds, with school trustees on taking climate action. And so we have an event on electrifying school buses, and I think 2 weeks away. So I'll share a link in the chat to that.
Yeah, that sounds like a good one. And definitely perfect timing for that.
Olivia,
Absolutely.
you guys have regular meetings too, right? For the Climate Caucus? I think I went to the last one.
Yeah, so we have monthly all caucus calls. And so those ones we have webinars on the last Monday of each month, and those ones are open to everyone. And then we also have regular meetings, but those ones are just open to elected. So we have like bi-weekly electeds only calls, or we have like an Atlantic chapter call, for example. But again, those are only open to local electeds. But yeah, once a month we have our webinars.
Could you share that link with Ashley and I as well for those? For not the
Yeah, absolutely. I'll share that in the chat.
Cool. A lot of what we're trying to do is just get the information out to all the members of whatever you're involved with, so that everybody is staying in the loop.
Because that's 90% of the problem, right?
Yeah. And then, did you all, do you want to just tell us a little bit about what's going on with you?
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Jahidul Alam. I'm a postdoctoral research associate at Dalhousie University. I'm working with Dr. Hassan Habib. So we have been awarded a climate action awareness funding that's funded by Climate Change and Environment Canada. That's a 5-year project. So what we'll be doing is briefly, we'll develop an integrated bottom-up transport and emission modeling system so that it can quantify emissions and test different policy scenarios. We are working in collaboration with University of British Columbia and McMaster University. So we have, I think, around 8-9 applicants. Dr. Hassan Habib is the principal investigator of the project. Also, we have Dalhousie and that 2 university faculty members in that project. So we'll have multiple communication events coming soon to inform people what we are doing, as well as getting feedback from them. Also, we are open to any collaborations for data and modeling efforts. So we'll be happy to communicate with everyone about our project progress, and we'll give updates, and we'll let you know if there is communication events, workshops, panels coming in.
That being said, we have opportunities to present during every meeting. If you get
Okay.
to a point where you feel that you'd like to present to the entire group
Okay.
about the work and like the achievements, or if there's like a call to action or anything, a collaborative effort that you need, feel free to reach out to us. We would love to give you that space to be able to kind of control the conversation and push your project along. It sounds like it's going to be very rewarding.
Yeah, I think we'll be very interested to present in that kind of meetings. So it'll help us to let people know what we are doing, and also get more feedbacks and any collaboration opportunities to explore those. Of course, thank you.
So I just put my email in the chat if you want to drop me a
Sure.
line, and then we can kind of schedule that out for you, because it sounds like it's something that would be a really interesting opportunity for even other people that are working in this space to either collaborate on or take the efforts and be able to institute them.
Sure. I'll update my supervisor. We'll have some chat with him, and then I'll reach you, of course, about this. Thank
For
you.
sure. Paul, did you want to say something?
Yeah, at last night's Elizabeth May talk here at St. FX, as most of you know, Elizabeth is amazing at retaining the facts and figures. And one of the things that she pointed out was that from 2000 until 2020, the federal government had contributed 4 times the amount of money to the healthcare system, okay, with all of the provinces. But none of the provinces, none of them had increased their spending with healthcare to that extent. Nowhere near it. So where, my question and the question from the audience was, where's this money going? And for provinces to say to the federal government, yeah, we want the money, but you're not going to tell us where to put it. I came up with you can imagine what my phrase was about where to put it, because this whole business needs to change. One of the things that has been talked about in Canada for well over a decade is universal pharmacare, like New Zealand has, or other, we're the only G7 country that has universal health care, but doesn't include pharmacare. Like, how stupid is that, And it's all because of the pharmaceutical companies and their lackeys that meet with our politicians, and upwards of 120 times a year.
It's messed up. I know. And if you think about like the purposeful defunding of our healthcare system to create a collapse where they introduced, I don't know if you guys freaked out last week about the privatization bill that passed last Monday, but I had a whole thing because like it's Ontario, Alberta, New Brunswick purposefully defunding their healthcare systems to the point of collapse so that they can say that this privatization is the way to go, but it's not. And then if you caught the agri-food and agriculture, and like if you see all of it, it's all working together. So they're reducing the opportunity for farmers to have sovereignty and independence to be able to create fresh, actual bountiful, nutritious food for us. And they're creating pathways for these large mega corporations to create quote unquote food that's essentially creating a sickness within us all. They're all inflammatory foods. They all have carcinogenic chemicals in it. It's a farming system for us to go into big pharma because they don't put in preventative measures. There's no policies on accessibility to green space or to places for physical activity or for food sovereignty. If anything, there's lots of policies that reduce opportunity for food sovereignty. And then they essentially funnel us into a big pharma system where there's no other way to mitigate because we're putting band-aids on the results of what we eat instead of preemptively creating systems where we can harvest natural, healthy foods. And then you have big pharma that's controlling all of the other outcomes and our whole healthcare system, which again is more reactionary than preventative. There is no actual things that are stopping us from getting sick. They are just treating the sickness instead of treating the problem. And that's the whole idea of a systems change, because everything we do, no matter which system you look at, we're triaging and creating solutions for the outcomes of these systems instead of actually examining the systems in which we're being oppressed by and creating systems that benefit communities and benefit individuals instead of the class, the controlling class, if you will, right? Like it's hard because you talk to people about that and there's this whole very real counterproductive culture out there that is, pervasive these days as we kind of deal with an abundance of misinformation and conspiracies, specifically planted conspiracies. Like, I don't know if you guys paid attention to the ExxonMobil paper that came out in January of how they deliberately funded misinformation about climate change and about like global cycles of heating and cooling, and that they had accurate climate predictions since the early 50s of what was going to happen. So they could have mitigated for the last 70 years all of the detrimental effects that, the first world barely feels, but the global south is like, not thriving in right now. And instead of a class action global lawsuit, like we just kind of take it like, oh, this is just the way the world is. And we're going to continue to reiterate and uphold the same oppressive cycle. Like this is where we're at. And this is why we all need to collectively talk about these types of situations together, right? So that there's less misinformation.
There's two expressions that I think we could bring to bear with this. One is what you just talked about is what I would call systemic suicide. And the second one is, instead of calling it reconciliation, I want to call it reconciliation.
I like that.
And I wish I could package you up and take you to my next meeting because you're so eloquent. Like seriously, like exactly what you just said. Like, how come so many people are across Canada are saying exactly the same things, and our supposed leadership is not doing what I would consider to be leadership.
A lick of anything. Did you watch that agri and agricultural meeting where Jagmeet went after Galen? And what essentially they said is, we're not making record amount of money off of groceries. We're making record amount of money. They try to compartmentalize their system.
Yeah.
We're making records amount of money off pharmacy. And not one person in that meeting turned around and said, hey, ethically making records amount of money off pharmacy, so drugs and medication, in the height of a global pandemic is still unethical. Like, where was that when we were talking about it? Like, there is multiple lenses that need to be adopted at all time, and we can't just pick and choose the lenses that benefit us at that given moment. Like, it was unethical no matter how you want to split those hairs. So you're not making money off of bleeding Canadians dry for food, but you're bleeding them dry and leaving them empty when it comes to children's medication, cold and flu medication, literally when we're dealing with a global pandemic, right? So lots of stuff to unpack, and we can't do it alone. It's too hard to do alone.
So what's around the table here? So what do you think our plan should be about this?
Why don't we start with Olivia?
Our plan to taking action on all of that?
What's the solution, Olivia? Tell us.
I'm still working on that. Yeah, that's a very big and difficult question. I think what I'm trying to do in my work at Climate Caucus is continuing this kind of collaboration. Like you were saying, there's so many organizations across the country that are working on this. There's so much amazing work going on. That's absolutely necessary because of all the reasons that Ashley just listed for us too. I guess that's kind of the steps that I'm trying to take right now. Continue to stay educated.
Yeah, I think we do want to try to stay focused on what we're working on, right? And you know, we just don't want to stay in silos. That's all. You know, it's so easy to branch out because this is a multifaceted problem with so many roads that you could go down. So it's best to just, for me in particular, for my own bandwidth and sanity, stick to what I'm good at, what I know, where I know I can make a contribution, and try to get some sleep at night because, you know, what each of us individually, we're just not going to solve the problem, you know, but if we can unite everybody and work as efficiently as possible in our own space, that's where I think the most impact is going to come from. And so that's really what we're all about here, is just spreading the word, bringing everybody together, knowing that you've got support, because all this climate grief is really overwhelming too, right? So when you see that there's other people feeling the same way and there's this place you can go to kind of know that you're not alone, then that's really worth something as well. So, Ashley, with that, I mean, did we
hold on? I got one more thing to add. So my response
sure.
is a little different than your guys's. So I believe that a lot of the key is decentralization and community sovereignty. So I think that, like, with all of us having transparent conversations, we also need to equip individual communities to take control of their individual actions. So this looks like energy sovereignty. This looks like food sovereignty. This is individual community sovereignty, so that we're not having these large governing bodies dictating to us what they think or what they're paid off to dictate. So if we have community sovereignty, so a huge food system that's local agriculture, that's, you know, that's supported, and an infrastructure that's well maintained, like, then you don't have to have a lot of these issues that are happening. When we have energy sovereignty, you don't have to worry about a lot of that. But if we're not going to mitigate the policies that are preventing that, so the monopolization with companies, like the globalization of organizations and industries where they're kind of, you know, dysregulated or compartmentalized so that they can play this friggin' shell game of, oh, we're not doing this, we're doing that. Like, you know, I'm a firm believer that community economics should benefit community members. Your local economy should benefit your local community 100% of the time. You should not have a global conglomerate like Nestle coming in and stealing your water. You should not have, you know, a global forestry industry stealing your hardwood. You should not have that. There should be no energy regulators, because it should be up to the community to approve these projects, and communities should have the last and final say. And that being said, additionally, we should also reevaluate the way that we regulate the powers. So provincial powers should not have as much power as municipal powers. The province should not be able to dictate how municipalities bolster their infrastructure, and should not be able to cripple municipalities by underfunding what they need to actually uphold their infrastructure. I'm here in St. John, so we know all about the inverse tax system. We know all about the lack of relationship to Indigenous people. We know all about, you know, companies coming in, specifically intergenerational monopolized companies that have ingrained themselves into the fabric of what this community is, where people are literally fearful to, quote unquote, bite the hand that feeds them. We need to feed ourselves. And that's my solution. That's what I would like to propose. I think that the more that we become independent and less complacent, the more that we are actually going to be fulfilled in our life and our actual day-to-day activities, fulfilled and happy, like feeling that connection, that sense of place, that rerootedness with the earth. You know, there is like actual benefits to getting your hands dirty, to walking out in your bare feet, to feeling the atmosphere after a rainfall, like physical benefits for our actual systems that we forget, right? So like for me, it's a lot about decentralization and creating that community sovereignty for us to empower ourselves and revitalize from the ground up, because that's what grassroots means, right? And then that's when you start embedding, like, you know, who is our community? Who are the people that we're working for, and who are the people that are trying to influence what we're doing, and looking at that in a, you know, very critical lens. Yeah, but
When are you running for prime minister?
you're not the first one that has said that to me. Like, I talk about climate change all day, every day to everybody, right? I feel like it's hard because politics is a very shallow game, right? And I feel like the real great leaders are never actually the ones that get in there. And so it's hard. And so I try to empower each individual person. Like, that's how I work. Try to empower each individual person, try to set people on the right path to be able to meaningfully impact their community the best that they can, right? Like, put the hands like of the power back into the hands of the people. That's, you know, that being said, it's 2:30. This isn't technically an official meeting. If you guys want to hang out and talk more, obviously I could talk till I'm blue in the face. My background's in radio, Paul, so that's a lot of where it comes from.
Right on. Way to go.
I actually worked with Indigenous radio organizations in the Northwest Territories and in British Columbia, and then moved out here and worked in commercial radio and was like, no, I need to go back to something meaningful, and then started working on climate action. So that's how I got here.
Well, I'll be darned. Yeah. I lived and worked in Nunavut for about 17 years.
Beautiful.
Yeah. If you ever want an earth moving experience, go north and work for a while. It's
You haven't lived
yeah.
until you've been north of 60. That's what I say.
Well, yeah, exactly. And well, anyway, I can tell we're going to have a lot of great conversations, but
Well, Paul, if you'd like to follow up at any time, like, feel free to reach out to me. I put my email in the chat there and we can continue. Like, I'm a talker, so if you ever need anything, you know, feel free to reach out. But same to everybody on this call. Like, I'm very accessible and I make myself very accessible. So like, my background is like in education and stuff. So if you guys want or need help or like amplification or any of that, like, this is where.
Yeah, and we'd love to get any of you that are interested in speaking to a larger group. Typically, this would be a larger group if it wasn't for that little thing that happened today. But we'd love to for you to let us know if you have some something you'd like to say publicly to the team. So please reach out to us, either Ashley or myself, and we'll set you up for one of our monthly meetings.
Or like on any of the channels, you can email us, you can message us through LinkedIn. If you're on the EarthNet, that's a really great opportunity to connect with us as well. And
Shadul, did you have something you want to say?
Oh yeah, I was just asking, so do we have monthly meeting like each month?
Every Thursday at 1 p.m. Every third Thursday at 1 p.m. is the monthly general meeting. That being said, we're looking at creating more meetings to fit the needs of our members outside of just a general meeting like this, because we feel that it's very compact and it's really like the brass tacks of everything that we're doing. But we would like more open opportunity to talk like this, right?
Okay, yeah.
So if you would like to like have sub meetings based on essentially some theme that you're working on, for you it would be like the energy, like the electrification of transportation systems and such like that. Like, we can put that together and draw crowds to be able to facilitate those types of conversations, but we just need members to say like, this is what we want. And Paula, thanks for joining us. Unfortunately, there was some misinformation today that it was a miscommunication. A lot of people got a notice earlier in the week that the meeting was at 2. The standard time for the meeting is the third Thursday of every month at 1. Of course, it went through quality control, but there's only so many things that you can check. And we apologize that this isn't the actual general members meeting. It was actually at 1 p.m. But that being said, if you have anything that you would like to share with our general membership or any events that you would like us to amplify, feel free to email us, drop us in the chat, unmute and tell us about them. And we'll follow up with everybody in a follow-up email with all the links from the chat that we shared and any other pertinent information.
I don't have anything right now, but thank you for letting me know, and I'll certainly try to chime in earlier the next time.
Paula, what
Yeah.
are you involved with? Is there any initiatives that you're working on right now, or any groups that you're a member of?
Not currently, no. Of course, I'm part of the St. John City Council, and our team is doing a great job at City Hall. Samir Yasmin is doing a fabulous job with our climate action plan. So he's been doing some different working on some different things with some big businesses that would obviously make a great contribution or cause some hardships in the community if they don't worry about the climate changing, and anything that can happen with heavy industry. Of course, we have a lot of heavy industry in St. John, so I know that Samir has been working with them. We've also got a lot of our fleet is going electric, and we have just purchased a bunch of transit buses as well that are electric. So anyways, there's some good work shifting that's being done. So I'm really proud of staff at the city, but I don't have anything personally that I've been working on. I've been just kind of watching the needle right now, but Samir is amazing, and he's tapped into a lot of federal grant money as well.
That's great. Well, we're
You totally
grateful for you
undersold
joining.
that, by the way. Samir has been doing like incredible work. The St. John
Absolutely.
City Council signed the Race to Zero at COP26. So like they're taking it very seriously. They've been engaging with SSG and a number of community engagement opportunities, including one that was like a public hearing and another one, as Paula was saying, that was more focused on private industry that I was actually invited to. And it was phenomenal. The city has been really focusing on the housing issue because here in the city we have a very large volume of renters and a very small principle of homeowners. So it's not usual that you have that. And so the city is trying to work to create better nonprofit housing systems. And they're really working on that intersectional social justice lens, which is an important priority to move forward. Also, Paula is the owner of Taste of Egypt. And if y'all have ever been to St. John, you should go to Taste of Egypt because it's so good.
Thank you. And I agree, Samir, one of his speeches that he gave, he was talking about different pockets of money and what they were going to do with them. And he very casually basically gave a rundown on $51 million of federal funds that he had brought in. And so I kind of piped up and said, can I just stress the point that this is $51 million? Director Yamin, like, this is unbelievable. So he's incredible. And I think if we didn't have staff members like him, then I would feel like I have to do that much more work, right? Like I would really have to push and push and push, but he's making some real amazing headways here. So anyway, so I think when you have great staff like that, you just want to keep empowering them and encouraging them. So so that's what I'm trying to do. And and we're making some great strides. So hopefully we can just keep going, and we need to keep somebody like Samir Yamin.
Exactly. And a last little segue, Paula, Olivia, if you have not yet met Olivia works with Climate Caucus, who I believe that I've talked to you previously about. Some of your counterparts are also members of Climate Caucus, and I always urge any elected official to join the Green Choir. And Olivia is I'm not going to say the gatekeeper, but she's the one that will bring you there.
Yeah, I already had that in my note. I'd love to connect with you, Paula, so maybe I can send you an email and just tell you a little bit more about Climate Caucus. And if you're interested in joining, it'd be really great to have you join the network.
I thought I already had actually when I was at the FCM, but it was unusual. I felt very badly because I don't have everybody's contact information. So I expected to start getting information, but didn't. So yeah, let's connect after. I mean, the intention was there. So anyway, I'd love to connect a little bit more. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll connect and I'll make sure that you get those communications done. Sorry about that.
Oh no, that's okay. No
That's why
problem.
sometimes it's great to have people in certain places so we can clarify those things, right?
There you go. There you
There
go.
we go. That being said, I have to get into this SDG thing. So I'm at UMB right now with the faculty hosting an engagement session on incorporating sustainable development goals into curriculums. That starts in about 20 minutes. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to shut this down. If you guys do want to send any links or any events or anything update wise to my email, again, that's aanthony@climatereality.ca, or as a reminder for those who weren't in the actual meeting, again, sorry, I'm so sorry for that. We have an actual email for the project. It's Atlantic Canada Climate Network at climatereality.ca. Lots of letters in there, but it's a good thing. So you'll be able to start seeing us more on channels as we grow our communication capacities, and we'll be able to amplify more of the work that you're doing and create more opportunity for us all to kind of hang out like this. This has actually been a delightful opportunity.
Just a quick note here before we take off. If all of you guys haven't joined up with the EarthNet ACCN group, I encourage you to do so, just to make sure that we're accumulating all the membership in one place. Ashley, I guess we'll send out an email with the link.
I have all the links on it.
Are you guys all on our email list? I don't know if you're not. Yeah, okay.
If you drop your email in the chat, I'll make sure that you get the follow-up email just to ensure.
Great.
Also, always there's a LinkedIn group as well. You just search up Atlantic Canada Climate Network. I post everything updates in there as well. And then the EarthNet group, I always post the updates in there as well. So
yeah, and you can find us on the Halifax Climate Hub Facebook group as well, and all the stuff is going to be posted on there too. So awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time. It's such a great conversation.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
I look forward to it.
Everyone.
And just a reminder, the next meeting is going to be April 20th at 1 p.m.
April the
Great.
20th at 1 p.m. You're sure?
Yeah, third Thursday, April 20th, 1 p.m.
Okay, I'm putting you down.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
I look forward to the next one, and thank you all again. So much gratitude.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Great. Bye,
Bye
everyone.
for now.
Bye.